All right, the Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 212. And even though we all enjoyed the NBA Finals, it's time to look forward to the NBA Draft. That's what we're talking about today. I have a full mock of the entire first round, but I'm not going to go through all 30 picks. I think I'm going to do about the first 12 to 15. That's what I'm most interested in talking about. So that's what we'll be talking about. Obviously, a lot of interest in what's going to go on tomorrow night. I was going to do a podcast a few days before this, but it seemed like Giannis might be dealt. So I was waiting to find out if that was going to happen. And then it hasn't yet, even though it does seem like he's either going to be a member of the Boston Celtics or the Miami Heat by the end of the week. But it hasn't happened yet. If it is the Celtics, I have a lot to say, especially if my Pistons get up Tyler Hero out of the deal or Trey Murphy within the next few days. I'll probably record a pod all about that. Really, the only big news is that Dusty May left the Michigan job, which is crazy. I mean, just won the national championship and then turned around and then went to the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, that's great for the Dallas Mavericks. They got to be thrilled. I mean, Cooper Flagg's got to be pumped. But as far as him going there, that's quite wild. I did have a conversation actually with my mother about it, and she was basically saying, well, any more of college between having to deal with the NIL and the transfer portal, you're honestly maybe just better off coaching pro, because at least with them, you know they're under contract. The only way to get rid of them is if they leave in free agency or if you trade them. You actually have a little more control over your players, whereas in college, you used to be more in control. Now that it's very much power to the players, which is good for the athletes, but I can understand as a coach, when you're him, it's a bit stressful. And maybe I'm reading into it too much. Maybe he just wanted to be in the NBA. Like, maybe that could also be the case, but he was obviously a hell of a college coach. Hopefully he's a hell of a coach for the Dallas Mavericks, because I'd like to see Cooper Flagg be able to kill it. But regardless, let's move on into the NBA draft, starting with the number one pick, which there's been a lot of talk about. Who is going to go top in this draft? As you can see, I'm drinking a clearly Canadian. I almost stumbled saying that. It's mountain blackberry flavor. So I actually haven't reviewed this on my Ryan Rates Water videos, but I quite like it. So anyways, there's been a lot of discussion about these top four picks. There's pretty clearly a top four. And it seems like at least one or two of these guys is going to be an absolute star. Right? And I'll talk about each prospect as I predict where they go. And I've shuffled my top four a lot, I will say. There's been points it's like maybe Peterson's going one. Oh, no, it's Dybantsa. Like the whole time it kind of felt like Dybantsa. There's a little bit of Boozer talk. A little bit of Peterson talk. Seems like for sure Caleb Wilson won't go till 3 or 4. And that seems like a definite. I will say my top four is quite different than what a lot of people are predicting. So, I guess the 3, 4. The first two are pretty standard based off what people are saying. But let's get into it. The first overall pick in the 2026 NBA draft tomorrow night is the Washington Wizards. And I think they're going to go with AJ Dybantsa. It would be cool for Dybantsa to go to Utah when it feels like, I think the Jazz have been tanking for him for the last 3 years. I mean, he goes to that prep school out there, and then he goes to BYU, and then there's a chance for him to go to the Jazz. They're just one pick away. It would be great. I mean, that would be the Jazz LeBron, but I don't think that's going to happen. It seems like the Wizards are very interested in AJ Dybantsa, and there's a lot of hype around Dybantsa. If you asked me a year ago, I'd have been like, yep, guy's going to be the future of the league. Guy's going to do this. Guy's going to do that. I didn't love his college season. And you're like, Ryan, he averaged like 25 points a game. How could you not love it? I feel like he was in a situation, especially once Richie Saunders went out, where the entire team just revolved around him. And I know in NFL sometimes I complain about a quarterback who's so used to having a ton of talent around him that he doesn't know what to do when he gets to the league because he's so used to having the best of the best. And in basketball, I'm not really like that because I'm like, I want to see a guy play with his team. And I felt like Dybantsa really had to carry a lot of load for BYU. And you might be like, well, that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's good. That's fine. I just want to see how he operates in an NBA offense when he's not immediately the best player on the team. Because I find it hard to believe he's going to be immediately the best player in the Wizards. They actually have a decent amount of talent. And I like what the Wizards have. If Trae Young goes back, and they have Trae Young, Trae Johnson, Keyshawn George, DJ Dybantsa, Anthony Davis. I don't love Alex Sarr, but If that's their roster, that's actually a pretty interesting team to me. So I would be very interested to see what the Wizards can do. I'd actually prefer if they took Cam Boozer. I prefer Cam Boozer over AJ Dybantsa. I don't know. I don't know if I just don't. I didn't love the BYU stuff. He put up incredible numbers, do not get me wrong. But I've seen it before. A guy on a college basketball team all by himself just puts up huge numbers, and he gets to the league and is like, oh, I can't just blast by everybody now. So I'm very interested to see how this plays for AJ Dybantsa. A lot of people really excited for him. Hopefully he's good. My goal is to have every team have somebody interesting. But AJ Dybantsa is going to go number one. I think it's like a definite. I don't think anybody else is going number one. So that brings us to the second pick, which is the Utah Jazz. And I think they're going to take Cam Boozer. I love Cam Boozer. I'm a massive Cam Boozer fan. I think Cam Boozer is going to be an excellent NBA player. At base value, he will be awesome. I just think that's for sure. The dude just wins. In middle school, one of the best players in the country. In high school, one of the best players in the country. In college, one of the best players in the country. Like, he's just consistently excellent. And I don't think it's going to change if he goes to the league. Cam Boozer obviously out of Duke. A lot of people concerned about his size for his play style, and I can completely understand that. But I think he's just so damn good at what he does. I think he's a very unique player. He can actually playmate at a high level that I think not anyone else in this top four can. He is very unique for his height as he's 6'9". And I just love the way Cam Boozer plays. I think he's the type of guy, if you look at these guys and you say, who could play on the Knicks, right? The team that just won the NBA Finals. Cam Boozer's the number one that sticks out in my mind. Cam Boozer completely could. You could slide Cam Boozer in, and you could play with all those guys. I mean, that's important. You can play winning basketball at a high level. And the Jazz should be pumped once they get him and start trying to win games. Because Cam Boozer is excellent. So, Cam Boozer, I have going second overall. I actually would take him number one. I love Cam Boozer. I was hoping he could get to the Pacers. Obviously, that Pacers pick went away once it fell to the 5 spot, which became the Clippers pick then. But Cam Boozer is, I think, going to be a member of the Utah Jazz, which his dad, I think, works in there, so that'll work out. Going out to Utah. He's just a team player. I think Cam Boozer's going to be excellent. He's not going to do anything wrong as like a person. He seems like he's really collected. Excellent interview. He's been famous basically his whole life. Cam Boozer's going to do great. So, number 3 pick is the Grizzlies. And this is where we have to have the Darren Peterson conversation. Because Darren Peterson has so much hype around him. Because you watch the high school tape and you think, that guy's Kobe. Like, that's what it looks like, right? But he didn't exactly blow me away in college. He underperformed in the tournament. There's questions about his character, how much he cares. Is he just kind of, I don't want to say full of himself, but overconfident to a fault? He doesn't think he needs to get better. Questions about his character are rising. I think a lot of people would have him going to 3 to the Grizzlies. I just don't see the Grizzlies going after a highly exciting guard with potential character issues when I think they're going to get off Ja Morant within the next few months. I just don't think they're going to want to run that back. I think they want to go in a different direction, and Caleb Wilson, I think, is that different direction. And I love Caleb Wilson. A power forward out of UNC. It's a shame he didn't play March Madness because I think he would have done superb. I think he really plays hard. I think he really cares. And a lot of times we're at this top level. The way I separate a lot of these guys is who cares. That was my big thing of Cooper Flag last year I loved. I was like, he actually doesn't blow me away that much from a basketball perspective, but you can tell he really cares. And he wants to be great. And we saw that during the regular season, right? And I think you look at these top guys, the ones who I think really want to be great, Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer. And you're like, Darren Peterson and AJ Dybantsa want to be great too. I'm sure they do. But the way Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson carry themselves is a way I really respect. I think they're going to do very well with that type of personality in the NBA. So Caleb Wilson, I also think he's a fun guy for Memphis. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to embrace being like the Memphis guy, a team that, I mean, we've heard around the league, a lot of guys don't like their hotel. It's a small market. I think they'll really rally around Caleb Wilson. And so Caleb Wilson at 3 to the Grizzlies. And it'll be a bit of a surprise because that means at 4, the Chicago Bulls get Darren Peterson out of Kansas, which would just be so much fun. It'd be so much fun. It's like, when was the last time the Bulls had a interesting team? I have that answer. It's 2023. But before that, it had been a while. And I think every Bulls fan is going to put the pressure on him to be the next Michael Jordan. I find it hard to believe he's going to be able to live up to that, but it'll be fun to have that situation. And so I love to see it. I would love to see Darren Peterson on the Bulls and have something interesting going on with the Bulls and have a guy who potentially could be an incredible player on the Bulls. That would be awesome. So Darren Peterson to the Bulls at the 4 pick. I think it's just the most fun scenario. In my mind, Caleb Wilson, Darren Peterson fit the cities they're going to. And then Cam Boozer and Dybantsa would have to kind of flip to fit. But I can't argue with what's going to happen. I think Dybantsa is going to get number 1. So that is the top 4. And that's really been the most talked about part of the draft. But the Clippers do have the 5 pick, and I don't think it's going to be traded at this time. It doesn't seem like they're going to get Jaylen Brown in the trade. It feels like Jaylen Brown's going to get moved to the Bucks. So that means that the Clippers are going to keep this pick. I think they're going to take Keaton Wagler. Keaton Wagler is out of Illinois, point guard. I just think this would be a nice pick for them. A lot of guards here in this next few picks, which is weird because the Clippers don't really need a guard. They have Darius Garland. Wagler could potentially play off him. I just think Wagler was a guy who played excellently in March Madness. I mean, he really helped Illinois get to that Final Four. He was a huge piece of that. Obviously plays at a high level. And I could just, I don't know, it just feels like what they're going to do. I just don't see them going after A-Cuff, even though I like A-Cuff more. I just don't think they want somebody who's that ball dominant. And they're going to go after Keaton Wagler. They're going to talk themselves into Wagler and be like, well, A-Cuff's a little undersized. He's ball dominant, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to talk themselves into Wagler. But at the 6th pick, the Nets, I think they're going to take Darius A-Cuff, and I think it's awesome. Darius A-Cuff, the guard out of Arkansas. Loved watching him in March Madness. He blew everybody away during the SEC tournament in March Madness. Guys are like, oh, this looks like Allen Iverson. Oh, this looks like Kyrie. And especially with Jalen Brunson just winning the finals, the Nets are going to talk themselves into this is the next Jalen Brunson, this undersized guard. He's more explosive than Jalen Brunson, I would say, when it comes to going to the rack. But Darius A-Cuff, obviously just a joy to watch, and it would give the Nets something interesting on their team, which they desperately need, especially after the Knicks just winning the finals. Like, there's like no Nets fans on the earth. So the Brooklyn Nets getting Darius A-Cuff would be super fun, and I think that is what's going to happen. And I'm sure the Kings at the 7 pick are pissed because that feels like a very Kings pick to go after Darius A-Cuff. But the Kings at 7 are going to take Mikael Brown Jr. from Louisville. He's the one that got hurt and didn't play in March Madness. There's a lot of hype around him. He was somebody that I remember hearing about a year back. He was going to be a top pick. Was really a big deal in high school, and I feel like this just feels like a Kings pick. I don't know how to explain it other than that. They always just take these like guards that it's like, yeah, he's either going to be really good or nothing. There's not a lot in between, and they love taking those guys. So number 8 is the Hawks, and this is a big swing from me. A lot of people would have them taking somebody else, but I think they're going to have to go. I think they're going to go after Ade Mara, the center from Michigan. I just think the Hawks need size. Onyeka Okongwu isn't really that big, and I think they prefer someone who's over 7 feet tall. And so having Ade Mara would be really nice for them. I think it makes a lot of sense for their team. That team, as I said before, is a superstar away from being a championship-level team. Not sure if they're going to be able to get that superstar, but I think Ade Mara is a really nice piece to the core they have. So, number 9 is the Mavericks, who now have Dusty May. And I have the Mavericks taking Braden Burries because I think that makes sense. I mean, really strong defensive 2-guard. Bill Simmons just said in his podcast earlier, he reminds him of Stephon Castle. Huge compliment. Going to play off Cooper Flagg really well. The Mavericks need talent unless Dusty May can get Najee Marshall and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford to all go back to playing the way they used to. And PJ Washington. All those guys who were playing well 2 years ago, he needs to get them back to doing that. Kyrie Irving, if he's going to be back, we'll see if he's still on that team. But Braden Burries out of Arizona, I think is going to be a really nice fit alongside Cooper Flagg, so to me this makes sense. That brings us to the 10 pick, which is the Milwaukee Bucks. It very much seems like they're going to be holding on to this pick. And so who do they take? Pretty much a lot of mocks I've read have Nate Ahmet going to them. I don't really like Nate Ahmet. I don't think he's very good. A year ago, he was projected to be a top 5 pick. He didn't really play the best at Tennessee. I think his field goal percentage was below 40%. Not great. Especially for, I think he's like 6'10". So, not a huge Nate Ahmet fan. Tennessee had a bit of a run in March Madness. So I guess good for him there. But I'm just not really a fan of his game. the joke on Twitter has been that he's the first ever boom or bust prospect that has no chance to boom, which I think is quite mean, yet also quite funny. So I'm going to say, as far as Nate Ahmed goes, I'm not really a fan of him. I don't really think he's going to be that good, but I could also see the Bucks doing it. So the Bucks take Nate Ahmed, which then leaves the Warriors at 11. I think they're going to take Yaxel Lendeborg. A lot of people think they're going to take Yaxel Lendeborg. I think it makes a lot of sense for them. He's older, yes, but I can 100% see him fitting into what the Warriors like to do. You'll remember him as the small forward from Michigan. He's pretty much seen as their best player, and Yaxel Lendeborg is going to be a really nice piece for the Warriors. At 12, I have the Thunder getting Kingston Flemings. Kingston Flemings is an awesome point guard from Houston. Fisher really loved him in college. I actually think this is a bit low for Kingston Flemings, but I just don't see another team taking him. Maybe the Bucks do at 10, and the Thunder go after Nate Ahmed. Maybe. But if Kingston Flemings is here at 12, if I'm the Thunder, I'm thrilled, and this might give me a chance to move off Cason Wallace if I need to, or some of those other guards I have back, like Isaiah Joe or AJ Mitchell, because I have a lot of talent when I'm the Thunder, and I just keep replenishing it. And Kingston Fleming's going to fit in that team really well. So, all right, 13 is the Heat. I have him taking LeBaron Philon Jr., the point guard out of Alabama. I think this just feels like a very Heat pick. Him or Kareem Lopez, like the two guys I could see him taking. But I just think this feels like a very Heat pick. And the only thing are the Heat still going to have this pick in 2 days? I don't know. Like, will they be trading it tomorrow night? Will Giannis be dealt on draft night? We never actually have that happen. Like, it's always a draft and people are like, oh, there's going to be a big trade. There's going to, so-and-so is going to get moved. And that, like, just happens on, like, a Wednesday at 3 p.m. Like, it never actually happens during the draft. Can this be the year? Can Giannis get dealt during the draft? That would be sweet. It never happens that way, though. Like, literally never. But I would love it. It just never goes on. But, LeBaron Philon Jr. to the Heat. I think it just makes sense. It feels like a very Heat pick. But if they do trade it, we'll see what the Bucks do. I mean, the Bucks could do this, too, because it's a guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, Nate Ahmed isn't a guard, so then adding a guard's not a big deal. But and then the Hornets at 14, I haven't taken Cameron Carr, the shooting guard from Baylor. I think this just feels like a Hornets pick. Once we're later in this, I go a lot off like what I just see them doing. And that's kind of what I see the Hornets doing, and he's going to fit into what they like to do also. So that's the first 14 picks. That's really all I wanted to go through. I'm really excited for the draft tomorrow. I'm going to have even more thoughts to say post-draft, which I'll be recording Wednesday. And I'm really excited for that. Obviously, I might actually be going golfing with Fisher Wednesday morning, so we can talk about the NBA draft together. But we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to come back in a second with talks about how the new NBA draft lottery system works, so don't go anywhere. So I just read the new NBA draft lottery system that's going to be in place for the 27, 28, and 29 draft. I am still a little confused because apparently the bottom 3 worst records in the league get 2 lottery balls. Then everybody gets 3 lottery balls. These mean like chances of the number 1 pick, right? And then the 10 and 9 seed for the play-in get 2 again. But then the losers of the number 7 and number 8 play-in game also get 1. So I think if you're the 7 or 8 seed and then you lose in the play-in, you get 1 lottery ball. But I don't understand if you're the 9 or 10, if you beat one of them, or if you lose to one of them, I should say, if you then get the 1 lottery ball. I'm imagining not, but maybe. So then that's a lot of people getting chances, because you're the 9 seed in the West and you have the exact same odds as the 4th worst team in the West at the number 1 pick. That's a big difference, right? Like that could be a pretty good team as opposed to a really poor team. They have the same odds, which is wild. Other thing is you can't have back-to-back number 1 picks, and you can't have 3 straight years of top 5 picks, which that second one we've seen a lot. So I think it's a bit wild, as that's really going to change things up. Because you'd think you'd do 3 straight years of top 3 picks, not top 5. That's you know what I mean? That's crazy. I guess my biggest concern is this. I think a lot of the anti-tanking stuff, you guys know, I think I've talked about it before. My way to get around tanking, just be straight up. The worst team gets the number 1 pick. Second worst team gets the 2 pick. Third worst team gets 3 pick. And I know people are like, oh, well, that's what the process Sixers did. Okay, fine. But big picture, when you make it a chance, right? If I'm the third or fourth worst team in the NBA, I still have a pretty good chance of getting the number 1 pick. Hell, under the current system that we're under, you get a pretty good chance of top 4 pick, right? Because all the top 4 are all lotteried off. So I might just try to be bad because I'm like, hell, I'd get a number 1 pick pretty easily, right? I actually got better odds of being the worst team. So let's stay right here. And so if you're a really bad team, you get screwed over because even if you're not tanking, right, you're just a straight up bad team, you're hosed because the league thinks you're tanking. And so that's why, in the NFL, and they just straight up give it to them. I prefer that system because I'm like, if you're really bad, you're getting the number 1 pick and then you get somebody good. And that's just how it goes. And I think that makes the most sense to me. And I mean, there's not going to be a perfect system because now you're going to have this weird issue where, let's say you're the Brooklyn Nets and you actually suck. You're trying your best, but you just actually suck. You have a lower chance of getting the number 1 pick than a team that's purposely being like a little worse than they need to be. So I just think it's a bad system. I'm not really a fan. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll be great, but I have my doubts. I think that Adam Silver is really bad about... Adam Silver is like a middle school principal that just thinks adding more rules is going to get kids to behave instead of just being like, hey, quit that shit. Like, that's the way he is about everything. It's like, oh, well, the players aren't trying during a regular season. Okay. So, simple thing would be to shorten the season, so then they kind of have to try, because then every game would matter more. No. We'll introduce a tournament and hope they care. Okay. It's like, well, these teams that are right around the edge of the playoffs, they might just not be good, so they get a chance of lottery. Well, let's put in a play-in tournament so they'll play hard into the playoffs. It's like, that's not really what happens. Teams would just be like, maybe I'm better off to just lose. I don't want to face the Thunder at the 1 seed. Right? He just loves to introduce new rules. So it's like, all these players aren't playing enough. Well, let's put in the 65-game rule. Then they'll have to care. It's like, but no. It's just dumb. So I don't understand. He just loves to add new rules. And this is another one of those where it's like he's just going to add more rules. And I don't think it's going to save the world or anything. It's just the way he likes to operate, and I don't like it. But it's whatever. Okay. NBA draft tomorrow night. Very exciting. And Giannis should be dealt within the next few days. Hopefully my Pistons get Trey Murphy. We might be getting Tyler Hero, though. So, Trajan Langdon, I trust you. So let's see what we do. All right. Thank you all. Enjoy the draft.